Every once in a while, strange games from the land of the rising sun end up here. Katamari Damacy, or in Japanese, Clump of Souls for the PS2 is definitely one of them.
So that's the first time I laid eyes on Katamari Damacy, and after the remarkably tepid score of 7 out of 10, I knew I needed to play it. I'm not particularly great at this whole intro thing, so let me just spell out the whole point of what I'm trying to do here. We're going for 100% on Katamari Damacy, because I think it's neat. But beating the game is only part of completion. To get 100% and all those sweet Steam achievements, I'm gonna have to play every Constellation level, find all the secret presents, and complete the collection. It's a lot less easy than it sounds. You're gonna have to trust me on that. But hey! I'm Al the Chef Guy, and this is the 100 Club. Now, if you ain't played with your Katamari before, let me show you the rope. You use both sticks to control your Katamari and collect appropriately sized objects. It feels awkward at first, but by the second start, you'll get the hang of it. If you try to nab something and it's too big, you can't get it, and they can bump you away or remove stuff you already collected. It's a mess. And that's the most danger you find yourself in, really. Besides, sometimes something comes careening into your Katamari. So we keep building our Katamari until our dad loves us again. By the way, this guy right here, yeah, that's my daddy. Say something nice about him. He is the king of the cosmos after all. And we're the prince of the cosmos. So the king just one day just removed the cosmos. He just knocked every star out of the sky. So fixing this mess is now my job, because it's a video game. You want to play or what? So I start playing, and you know what? I'm having fun. Crazy, I know, but don't worry. There will be suffering. However, linear progression dictates that we make stars, with special attention given to stages 4, 8, and the final one. See, this is a little secret they throw at you. When you have a big enough Katamari on these stages, specifically, you get these little angel dudes who float off your Katamari like this. This means I unlocked one of the 3 eternal levels, and I'm gonna want those for later. Just like the name implies, eternal levels don't have a time limit, which make them excellent for completing the collection level. Now, it's either because I'm a super Katamari pro, or it might be that this is a baby game for children, but I get all 3 eternal levels my first try. Now, it's smooth sailing from here on out, right? Well, that is until we get to Constellation. Alright, let me explain Constellations. These guys are extra challenges that break up the monotony of the Katamari. I'm not a big fan of it, really. You see, in like a regular Katamari, there's something primal about building up the Katamari from small to really big, and Constellations don't really do that. It's something you don't really get with some levels like Cygnus, or Gemini, Taurus, dear God, Taurus. But I'm gonna have to get good at these. Well, some of them, I guess. Let me explain each one, and you'll understand. If you like Easter egg hunting, boy, are you in for a treat. So you need to collect swans, and only swans. The issue is all the swans are in unhatched eggs. When you get the eggs, they do hatch, but they might be a duck or a swan or something else. You don't really know until it doesn't matter that you know anymore. Feeling crab fab? Then this is the level for you. Because you collect crabs. I like it more than Cygnus. However, it's the most common kind of constellation, and I just don't care for them.
Borealis?
So I kind of actually like this one. You collect crowns, but the crowns aren't just littered across the level for you to go grab. They're on top of things. So you either have to roll those things up, or you gotta get in a position in which you can grab them off their heads. Don't forget about this garden bash that's just buried crowns. Pretty neat. You really gotta get big to get some of the larger crowns too. Good constellation! Take notes, Cygnus. Alright, Ursa Major. So, instead of collecting a bunch of bears, you only need to collect one. You get grade based on the size, but it doesn't really matter. You make the constellation no matter what. Easy enough, right? Collect the nearest bear, grab my achievement for beating the level, and move on. Well, I gotta find the biggest bear on this level for the collection, the Kintaro bear. He only appears in this level, so if I want to get a complete collection, then I have to beat this ludicrously hard constellation. And remember what I said, when you collect any bear item, the level ends. So the only bear item you can get if you're going for the Kintaro bear is the Kintaro bear.
Does this look like the face of mercy to you?
And it's not just bears that count as items. Bear statues and watch out for bear signs also count as bears. And the level is littered with bear items. You start out at about 1.5 meters and you need to grow to over 4.5 meters without touching a single bear. You see that guy rocketing around? That's the target. There are so many things that will bump you around in this level and straight into a bear. They even have them floating around, so when you're getting close to being the size to go get the Kintaro bear, they dangle right in front of you, ready to ruin your run. Oh yeah, and he runs away from you when you get big enough to get him, which is a good indicator that you can grab him, but he runs faster than your normal rule speed, so you have to use the charge move to get him. But you have to be perfect with your aim or you risk flinging yourself straight into one of the lesser bears. So, finally after a dozen attempts, I get my Kintaro, and I can rest knowing I won't have to do this kind of thing again. Ever again.
Alright, so get this. We're collecting ladies, and we gotta collect as many as we can under a time limit. I bet you didn't see that coming.
I'm not a big fan of all the screams you get when you get a lot of them. So let's just move on. Fish. Collect more things under a time limit. Except the gimmick is that I have to collect a bunch of small things that are hard to pick up. And it takes place on the lake level, I guess.
We're skipping this. We'll come back to it later.
Another collecting level. This time, I have to collect sets of 2. If you collect one half of the twins, doesn't count. You need both. So, if you lose one, you might as well have lost both, unless you can get it back. And they can be anything. Even inanimate objects are twins in this level. The best way to tell which you need to grab is if they say they are an older or younger sibling in the item description. Now, thankfully, you don't have to get every younger or older version for the collection, or I would be spending a lot more time in Gemini than I really want to. So this level is pretty simple. You start at about 4 meters and you need to get as close to 10 meters as possible. The catch is that they remove the UI element that tells you how big you are. I don't enjoy this kind of thing, but it's one level and it's not too difficult, so put that down as finished. After beating every constellation, the game still needs to be beat. So we make the biggest star of all. The moon. Knock that out and the game is over, right? Well, there are some things I still need to do to get that 100% and all achievements on Steam. Now, there are 2 achievements that you don't just get from beating the game normally. Present Hunter and King of Katamari. Present Hunter is pretty simple. On every stage, there is a present the king left for you to find. He nearly trips over himself to tell you when there is a present to find in the level 2. So it's pretty easy to keep track of what levels still have presents. When you get the present, you get a little accessory that you can wear while you're playing. I'm partial to this hat for some reason. Now, I'm fully aware that I'm gonna disappoint someone out in the cosmos, but I did use a guide for this. I know, but look, I never understood the problem people have with looking things up when they have an issue with Vidya. You're telling me you never had a family member beat that hard part of a game for you before? It's like the same thing, doofus. I also don't think finding needles in haystacks constitutes fun gameplay. Now, most of the presents are pretty easy to get once you know where you're going. Get them all, and now we are cooking with the Present Hunter achievement.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Now for your regularly scheduled suffering. King of Katamari. So yeah, when the King of Cosmos says that the earth is full of things, he wasn't fibbing. I need to finish the collection. What's the collection, you ask? Well, it's everything. Every single color crayon, every single guy walking around town, all the cousins. Any variation of an object needs to be collected. All 1,438 different things, and that's an exact figure. If you can pick it up, then it is a requirement for 100%. You have to finish the level with it as well. So if it falls out, then very cool.
Go get it again.
Now, good news is I'm not alone. Like with the royal presents, I can stand on the shoulders of giants and use a guide. The only issue is the proverbial giants are speedrunners, and they made very specific tools for speedrun routing,
Which I am not doing. I'm using this guide by P. Mittens that has a brief explanation of every item in the game. I think it's an updated list from other community members, but this guide is almost mandatory for anyone wanting to complete the game in a reasonable amount of time. Take the bird's nest, for example. So there's this bird's nest that you first have to knock out of a tree and make a star 5, and it's only in a very specific tree as well, but you need to be about 1.5 meters to actually grab it, which I don't think you can get in the area the tree is in. That's fine though, because the game wants me to go down this ramp and continue getting bigger, but when I try to get back up, oh shoot, now I'm too big. I'm trying to squeeze myself through this gate, but I'm just losing too much stuff. So now I'm trying anything to get back to the first area again so I can get that dang bird's nest. I tried going through the side because it looks like there might be a side entrance, but I can't get through because there's this tree in the way, which I wish this was one that had the bird's nest in it. Well, maybe if I wasn't so big, I could sneak in. And there's an invisible wall, fancy that. Well, that's okay because it also shows up in Make a Star 4. And the guide says that's the best time to get it, so it should be easier. Well, first off, I had a hard time finding it. It's right there. Can you see it? I tried falling and catching it that way, but no dice. Maybe you just have to be so big that you can get it that way? Well, you can only get to about 1.35 meters at most, which is not quite big enough to reach. Alright, so it turns out you can just climb up the pole. But I'm still not in the clear because it's not easy climbing up the pole without bumping into something, I guess. And before I know it, time's up. If only I could do this on Eternal, then I could spend all day climbing the beam, but the guide says you can only get it in Make a Star 5 and Make a Star 4. And the guide already told me which items I can get in an Eternal level, and the bird's nest doesn't say I can. So let's skip to the part where I check the Eternal level just in case, and lo and behold, it's there. So that's kind of my bad because I misunderstood the guide's intention. It's not an exhaustive list of where to look for things, just the best places to find them if you want to go fast. Other tricks the game plays is that there is an item by a copy machine, but it's surrounded by copies of that item. The copies don't count for collection. You have to get the one on top of the copy machine to actually collect it. You need to collect the cousins as well. Most of them aren't too difficult to find, but you do need to replay the levels for them to spawn. Well, there is Jungle. Jungle spawns on Make a Star 3, but he doesn't show up for about 4 minutes into the level in a specific area, and if you don't see him at that time, running, then you lose him for the level and you need to retry. He does have a rare item that I need, the "You Are Here" sign, but this is one reason I use the guide. Alright, so the collection is nearing completion. There is just one last item that needs to be collected before I get the King of Katamari, and 100%, the Holy Cow. The Holy Cow is a big old cow that is found on the Taurus constellation. Remember, we skipped that guy, and for good reason. Taurus almost broke me. So same rules as Ursa Major. Grab no cows except the one you're going for. The difference is you start slightly smaller than you do on Ursa Major, and you need to get bigger than you do there as well. They do a pretty good job of not putting small cows directly in your way like the cub statues on Ursa, but that's like saying you'd rather be manslaughtered than be the victim of homicide. And boy, do they get loose with the definition of cow. Oh, alright, so vending machines are cows now, huh? The cones? Are you serious? Come on, man! You've got to play this level almost perfectly. So after about 2.5 hours of grinding away, I finally had gotten the last item for my collection. The Holy Cow. So, while I absolutely adore this game, it really eats at you for that 100% completion. If it wasn't for Ursa Major and Taurus, I probably would have enjoyed every bit of it, but I digress. My name's been Out of the Shadow Guy. Thanks for listening.